So today's topic is geopolitics. Geopolitics is what? See, India is not only inside India, India is also outside India. That means India has a present outside as well. So, what is the presence India has outside as well? Presence in the sense, like India has lot of embassies around the world, and other countries even have their embassies, consulates in India. India is a part of different supranational organizations like World Trade Organization, World Bank, then the International Monetary Fund, and these organizations are supranational organizations. They have all the nations, like many of the nations almost around the world, as their members. So India has a presence over there as well. So taking all this into consideration, we should now understand what is geopolitics all about. It refers to interactions among nations, including the actions of state actors, national governments, and non-state actors, which are corporations, non-government organizations, individuals. So, in geopolitics, what are we understanding? Interactions between or among nations. India's interaction with United States, India's interaction with Australia, India's interaction with UK, and that is government to government or without, like non-state actors like either companies or NGOs or individuals. And we individual, when we visit outside countries, then that also is a part of geopolitics. Now, geopolitics refers to the study of how geography affects interactions among nations and their citizens. For example, firms located in coastal countries naturally tend to be the dominant participants in international shipping. That is understood fact. So there are many countries which have good coasts, which have ports. Okay, like Hong Kong, we know one of the famous ports. Singapore, one of the famous port uh, like countries, and they naturally tend to be the dominant participants in international shipping. That is by nature they have got. Naturally they have got. So India is also developing Andaman Nicobar Islands into one as a port, territory of India, and with that, lot of trade would happen through that route. Cargo, ships should also take halt at places, and India also has a coastline. So if any ship is moving around this coastline or it is entering into Indian waters, definitely there are certain rules and regulations they have to follow with respect to India's coastline or Indian to some extent Indian laws. Okay. So one way to examine geopolitics is through analysis of the extent to which individual countries cooperate with each other. Potential areas for cooperation include diplomatic and military matters. Of course, we have a foreign minister and who looks after the diplomatic matters of India. What is diplomatic or diplomacy? Interaction of India with different countries or different nations and trying to establish good trade relations with them. And not only trade relations, it also relates to military matters, like how we exchange. There are a lot of times when India and other countries, they go for drills, army drills, navy drills, and they try to they make friends with each other, and the friendly nations, they try to understand the conditions, or how the army of different countries are good at combat, or they have this exchange programs, right? So that is a very good thing, because now the world has become a small village. Unlike now, it's not like you can't, there's no access you have to the other world, or the access is too late. It's now swiftly things can move from here to there, and swiftly people can interact. Today, if you want to go to London, you can reach in some like hours, okay, or else it used to take 6 months or 3 months in the olden days to reach. Now, so cultural interactions, people to people contact. Yesterday, I met a gentleman who has come from South Korea, and why he has come to South Korea is to study about India, to study about Indian culture. So he has taken a good amount of time for all that purpose, and then he has certain. Then he will try to study the culture of India, and again will try to enlighten people about Indian culture. Okay, that's their area of interest they're doing. Not everyone in the world is completely into economics or finance. There are many people who also want this kind of like interactions. And then economic, we want to establish trade relations with other countries. India is looking forward for free trade agreements with many countries in the world so that it may get access to those markets, and we can export a lot of goods to them and become one of the world powers, or a very big economy. So the vision of the Prime Minister of India is to come out to make India a $5 trillion economy. United States is a 22 to $24 trillion economy, one of the world's biggest economy. So second is China. In terms of economic areas of cooperation include freedom of movement. Yes. So across borders, so that goods, services, capital can move. Agreements to harmonize tariffs. So tariffs are the biggest barriers for trade. If India is trading with some other country, and due to some hostile relations, they immediately pose tariffs on Indian goods, we may lose a lot of trade. Maldives, what happened with Maldives? India and Maldives, the relationship are SAR relationships. Like we had a very sweeter or very good relationship with that country. Now it's very SAR. That means we are not good terms with them. What happened? Maldives lost lot of business. I think you have been in you are regularly reading newspapers, or seeing a
Yes,
lot of news coming out. Yes. So what happened?
yes,
Maldives lost lot of Indian tourists, and their economy is facing now. So harmony is what is the need of the hour. So international standardization of rules. Yes, see, rules are something which differs across borders, but they want to harmonize that as well, so that both the countries have similar kind of rules for certain similar acts. Okay, so that unnecessarily you shouldn't be burdened with some like too many rules, and you shouldn't be feeling like you're outside home. So when you go to United States, India is a democratic country. United States is a democratic country. In India, you have all the freedom of speech, freedom of expression, but everything is under limitation. In United States also it is the same. You can go to temples in United States. So like, because it's a democracy, anyone can practice anything over there, but everything is in limitation, not offending others. Here also the things are same. So we feel like home in US when we go there because of the democracy what they have. We are very free to move anywhere in United States. Almost similar kind of atmosphere we see there. While a country that engages with other countries on these matters may be considered cooperative, one that does not be considered non-cooperative. Yes, one country, India and China, we don't see they are very much cooperative on every matter. In border, we have always a border dispute with them. And what about Pakistan? Are we cooperative? No, we are very much uncooperative with them, non-cooperative with them, and they are non-cooperative with us because of various reasons. And but when it comes to Nepal, very cooperative, because when you go to Nepal, it's like another India, or Nepalese come to India, they have the same feeling. So while a country that engages with other countries on these matters may be considered cooperative, and one that does not be considered cooperating, considered non-cooperative, sorry, the extent of cooperation actually varies along a spectrum. A country might be more cooperative on some issues and less cooperative on others. So China has a good relation with India. They are cooperative on many issues, many issues. But they are non-cooperative in border issues, because India and China do not have a marked border. So at times they say that this area belongs to us, and sometimes India says some area belongs to India, and sometimes they have a dispute for that particular area, right? So there are certain instances we have seen in the past. So, a country might be more cooperative and on some issues and less cooperative on others, and its degree of cooperation can change over time or with the outcomes of country's domestic politics. And see, sometimes during the election times, we see like India and Pakistan, these countries during election times, they give a lot of statements on Kashmir and disputed territory, and they want to gather people's votes. That also happens. So a country's current decision makers and length of its political cycle are factors to consider when analyzing geopolitics. A country will typically cooperate with other countries when doing so advances its national interest. Yes, if something is in national interest, we would definitely be making friends around the world. Now, India makes friends with a lot of countries to boost their defense cooperation. We are supplying a lot of arms to Armenia. Armenia is one of our defense partners and biggest buyers of Indian weapons. And we understand that Armenia is buying this to fight against Azerbaijan, and we are not having good terms with Azerbaijan because of that. But it's like, we are able to sell our weapons to Armenia to earn good amount of money. So we are doing that. We know it's not good for the humanity, but what to do? Everything today trade is also very important, and that goes well. So a country's current decision makers and the length of its political cycle are factors to consider when analyzing geopolitics. A country will typically cooperate with other countries, I'm saying here. When doing so, advances its national interest. So when it comes to national interests, you have to establish relations with other countries as well. If you don't have good relations, or not even good relations, you should try to establish. Don't make hostile neighbors anytime. So, for example, a country may cooperate with its neighbors in a military alliance if doing so will further its interest in protecting its citizens from foreign invaders. That's what. So they make military alliances with neighbors. Like India has good alliance with many countries like Bangladesh and all. We don't have we have very good relations with them. So we can analyze a company's national interest as a hierarchy with its top priorities being those that ensure its survival. So we have a list of priorities, and we ensure that for our good survival we have to we have some top priorities and some national interests, and we have to always look to fulfill those. So a country's geophysical resource endowment may influence its priorities. What is this? For example, a country that has as you see resource, and as you see geophysical, so mineral resources, you see now a lot of like electric vehicles are on the streets, right? So these electric vehicle to make these electric vehicles, that works on the technology of lithium ion batteries. Do you think the countries who are producing lithium ion batteries have that in abundance? Do you think that all the countries which are producing lithium ion batteries have lithium ion reserves with them? No. So what compels them to move to other countries is the countries which have a lot of mineral resources, but they don't have the technology to produce lithium ion batteries. uh, these countries who are the producers or who have that ecosystem, who have that technology, approach those countries, and they use their mines for making these lithium ion batteries on lease or on some royalty or some agreement, or they establish a plant over there and they start manufacturing there with that resource. So that is making them to move to other nations, right? Otherwise, will you see any contact between two countries? Come on, tell me.
No, sir.
Yeah. So, for example, a country that has mineral resources but lacks arable land needs to trade minerals for food. Therefore, it has an interest in cooperating with other countries to keep international trade lanes open. Yeah, we have. So, Australia is one of the biggest hubs of lithium ion or other minerals, and see, they have very less population. So, seeing that population and seeing the abundance of minerals what they have, they know that this extraordinary mineral what they have is not of use for them, so they can sell to other nations and make some and generate some revenue. Non-state actors often have interest in cooperating across borders. So individuals and firms seek to direct their resources to their highest valued users, and some of those users may be in other countries. Of course, now you see Amazon. What is Amazon doing in India? Amazon has created a very big user base in India, right? So that has made them to come to India and also start their business here. And there are certain things what India makes can be very high valued to some other country people. Like India makes lot of pharma products and a lot of medicines and drugs. And African countries, they don't have that ecosystem, so a lot of Indian drugs go to African nations. So that is highest valued for them, is it right?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah, to facilitate the flow of resources, state and non-state actors, that is government and non-governmental like individuals or companies, may cooperate on standardization of regulations and processes. So we want the same kind of rules what we see in India, the similar kind of rules we want around the world, so that it will be very easy for us to deal with. So one key example of standardization among countries is international financial reporting standards. Yes. So what has happened? See, Varga, very simply, I will explain this instead of going for reading that. See, what happened? India has Indian accounting standards, and some years back, let's say Tata had a branch in China or any subsidiary in China, and there they have to follow Chinese accounting standards. Now, what used to happen? The people from India have to go to China to learn those standards, and Chinese people have to come to India to learn Indian accounting standards. In that, there a team used to go, and it was very expensive affair, and they have to stay there for some period of time, and they have to learn it, and then they used to get idea about the accounting standards of both the countries, and then the accounting treatment, because group companies, they have to consolidate at the end of the year, so they have to do the consolidation. So Chinese accounting standards have to be translated to Indian accounting standards, and then and then they have to get consolidated. So it was a very costly task and also time consuming one. So now what is the remedy? For example, I know Hindi, and someone from China knows Mandarin. So very tough for us to communicate, right? When I speak in Hindi, he may not understand. When he speaks in Mandarin or Chinese language, I may not understand. What is the remedy for this? Both of us either should know a common language, or both of us should learn either each other's language. So learning each other's language is not easy. Hindi is not a easy language. Mandarin is not a easy language either. But if we both know English, the communication barrier can be eliminated or not, can be minimized or not.
Yes, sir. It can be minimized.
That's what. So that's the reason I'm saying, if both the countries have the knowledge of international financial reporting standards, IFRS, both the countries can if both the countries accountants know the standard, the consolidation will become simpler, and immediately the consolidation can be done. That is called harmonization of standards around the world. Now, coming to next thing, cultural factors such as historical emigration, patterns of a shared language can be another influence on countries' level of cooperation. Among these cultural factors are a country's formal and informal institutions such as laws, public and private organizations, or distinct customs and habits. Strong and stable institutions can make cooperation easier for state and non-state actors. For example, countries that produce and export large amounts of cultural content tend to be those with legal and ethical institutions that protect intellectual property. Cultural exchange is one means through which a country may exercise soft power, which is the ability to influence other countries without using or threatening force. So, what has India done with Maldives? They have just gone for a soft power, right? And with that, what has happened? Instead of threatening or instead of going into any kind of war or something with Maldives due to a SAR relationship, what we had, like they have stopped the cultural exchange, and Maldives is facing now. Next. Describe geopolitics and its relationship with globalization. Globalization is what? It refers to long-term trend toward worldwide integration of economic activity and cultures. So globalization is what? Long-term trend. So what we are seeing, a trend. What is a trend? A trend is nothing but since some number of some since some years we are seeing a kind of a a fashion or a trend that many people around the world nowadays are connecting with each other. Many countries want to establish good trade relations with each other. See, South America is somewhere else. India has trade relationship with almost all country, every country in South America, and India, if it has to become a global power, it has to have a trade relationship with almost every country in the world. Some countries are such where we haven't even heard the name of, and we may not know that India may have some presence over there, or Indian companies may have some presence over there. Now, data from the World Bank suggests economic openness as measured by international trade as a percentage of total output. So what is this economic openness all about as per the data of World Bank? It is measured by international trade as a percentage of total output, increased steadily from about 25% in the early 1970s to 60% before the 2008 financial crisis. So what has happened? This particular figures what we are seeing on the screen shows what kind of increment in the total output. That means previously the international trade was only to the extent of 25% in early 1970s. That means you may usually see a lot of European and American nations exporting things to the world, but now 60% before 2008 the international trade has like increased. That means more countries are now getting connected and more trade is happening. So we may contrast globalization with nationalism, which in this context refers to a nation pursuing its own economic interests independently of or in competition with economic interests of other countries. So nationalism, what comes? India first. We may not take foreign goods, such kind of foreign goods, or we may boycott some companies which are coming into India, or foreign companies. We may see such kind of things, right, at times. So this is nationalism. That means nation first. So there are some countries who are very particular in this. There are some countries who balance. That means they also promote their own products. They promote international products as well. That means there is no restriction for any country to come and do a business in India or some ex country. China, I would say they want a domination around the world. They always want to become the world leader. And in fact, United States also, every country would love to, or would like to become, sorry. And like there comes the interest of the country first and then the world. So as we did with cooperation versus non-cooperation, we can think of countries actions along a spectrum from globalization to nationalism. In general, countries that are closer to globalization end of the spectrum are those that more actively import and export goods and services and permit freer movement of capital across borders and exchange of currencies, and are more open to cultural interaction. That is what we are seeing. So if we see the countries which are more cooperative and which are allowing free trade between themselves, and they want to be more globalized rather than more nationalistic kind of, right? So they are more open to freer movement of capital across borders and exchange of currencies, and more open to cultural interaction. Now there is a diagram given here which can make us to understand what all this kind of nature we see between the countries. Now hegemony. Hegemony is what some country wants to become the world leader or wants to dominate everyone. That is hegemony. So here they have given something. Non-cooperation and globalization. So refers to countries that are open to globalization but have the size and scale to influence other countries without necessarily cooperating. So China or United States, they want to dominate the world. They want to become the hegemony. They want to, or some countries are looking to establish their hegemony now. So what is that? These are nothing but the countries that are open to globalization. They want to trade with everyone in the world, but have the size and scale to influence other countries without necessarily cooperating. That means no, like they will trade, they will dump the goods, they will do everything with you, but you can't do with them. because they have that power. Because they're not dependent on any other country, right? Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
For example, when it comes to defense, America is one of the biggest producers and exporters of defense equipments around the world. F-35. Who can make that F-35 stealth fighter kind of jet? That technology no one has. So only they have that hegemony. So even though you have trade with them or not, but at the end, if you want that, you have to buy from them. Autarky, non-cooperation and nationalism. That means they are always they have a goal of national self-reliance, including producing most or all necessary goods and services domestically. Autarky is often associated with state-dominated society in general, with attributes such as government control of industry and media. I can say Russia is one of the examples for this, right? Do
Yes,
you
sir.
agree? Yeah, they make everything they make with them in Russia, and they have control on industry and media. I can like not like yeah I in my knowledge I can keep Russia in this category most probably. Yeah, North Korea is also one of the countries. They don't want a trade relation with other countries. It seems everything what they want they make. Almost they try, and the government has control of industry and media. Bilateralism, cooperation and nationalism, both the things are going on parallelly. So they want to cooperate. So India can be seen as this country that engages in bilateralism may be such relationship with other countries while tending not to involve itself in multi-country arrangements. So bilateral relationships we see, right, country to country. So this is like cooperation between two countries. They have relationships and they don't involve themselves in multi country arrangements. Multilateralism is nothing but cooperation and globalization. That means country having relationship with almost all the countries in the world. This is what we see more today, right? So they have extensively engaged in international trade and other forms of cooperation with many other countries. Some countries may exhibit regionalism, cooperating multilaterally with nearby countries will but less so with the world at large. So they want to sell their goods to almost all the countries in the world, and with they cooperating multilaterally with nearby countries, but less so with world at large. That means less with some neighboring ones, but with world almost every country in the world they want to establish a trade relation. So there are this important points you should remember. So the bracket, what they have given in the bracket, or they are highlighting something is something very important. They may ask MCQs, multiple choice questions based upon this terminologies. So countries that engage extensively in international trade and other forms of cooperation with many other countries. So like India has trade relationships with a lot of countries in the world and cooperation with almost all countries. Some countries may exhibit regionalism. That means they only focus on their south, like their region, like South Asia. We have ASEAN, South Asia. We have made an organization called SARC as well. So they want to cooperate with the regional countries only. Okay, in some cases, but in multilateralism they have relation with almost all countries in the world. So some of the non-state actors which a country may be more oriented toward globalization than their governments. Businesses may look outside their home country for opportunities to increase profits, reduce costs and sell to new markets. Investors may seek higher returns or diversification by investing outside their home country. Non-state actors might buy and sell foreign securities, like the investors, or own physical production capacity in other countries, like foreign direct investment. Any doubts in this, Bhargav?
No, sir.
Yeah, so it's like understood fact, right? If you have the opportunity and if you have that caliber to expand your business footprint like out of your country, you can do that because the world is open for that now. have less battery.
Yes.
Okay, we will take up till what time we can. Till what time we will take? 9:30.
Yes, so we can take up till 9:30.
I think we are almost there to wind up the chapter itself. Yeah. Describe functions and objectives of international organizations that facilitate trade, including the World Bank, IMF, and World Trade Organization. See, these are all supranational organizations. IMF, they provide funds. So what they do? The following is according to IMF. Article 1 of the Articles of Agreement sets out IMF's main goal: promoting international monetary cooperation wherever there is need for funds. The countries have, they may provide, facilitating the expansion and balanced growth of international trade. They want a balanced growth, not some growth, which is like some countries very developed and some countries lacking basic essentials. Promoting exchange stability, that means they want like the foreign currencies to be more stable, or they don't want disparity in the currencies. Assisting in, that's what they want, like countries to be on par with each other. Assisting in establishment of multilateral system of payments, that means they are ensuring that the payments which is happening between two countries can happen more swiftly and more smoothly. And making resources available to members experiencing balance of payments difficulties. Balance of payments is when you have more imports and less exports. There is a balance of trade, there's a deficit actually, not surplus. So you may have some difficulties because you are in deficit, and when you require any resources or financial any kind of difficulties, whereby you have deficit, or you have to make you're importing lot of stuff from outside country, exporting very less and deficit, and you have to make some international payments, you can approach IMF. Following is according to World Bank. World Bank is a vital source of financial and technical assistance they give. Okay, they are very good source of financial and technical assistance to developing countries around the world. Their mission is to fight poverty with passion and professionalism for lasting results, and to help people help themselves and their environment by providing resources, sharing knowledge, building capacity, and forging partnerships in the public and private sectors. All these extracts are from the World Bank's website, www.worldbank.org. Anyone can go through that and see what their agenda and what their vision is.